Hi everyone, happy Monday. Hope you are all doing great, that your Monday is going smoothly, and that your week is off to a good start. It's 12:30 Central Time, so time to go live. I go live in this group every Monday at this time, unless there's something with my schedule that's off. And I talk about something related to intuitive eating that I've heard about in this group from my clients, in the intuitive eating community at large, that I want to share information about, and I want to make sure that it's correct, because unfortunately there's lots of information out there that is not accurate in regards to intuitive eating and nutrition in general. And so I aim to be a trusted resource that gives accurate information. So yes, so for those of you who are new or maybe haven't tuned into a live yet or in a while, my name is Courtney and I am the admin of this group, and I'm a registered dietitian, and I focus on intuitive eating in my professional career. So as a dietitian, I help women through the intuitive eating process, and I pivoted to that concentration about 2 years ago after I started practicing intuitive eating and benefited from it by having a better relationship with my body, better relationship with food, and I realized how awesome it was, and that it was possible to not be consumed by food all the time, or to not stress about what I had eaten or what I would eat, to not hate my body. And I was inspired to help other women through the intuitive eating process so that they could also experience those benefits. So that's partly why I have the group, so that I'm able to be a resource here. And I just love being able to share information about intuitive eating. And then I also love the one-to-one client work, where I'm able to really dig deep with people and help them through that process. So the past few lives have been about questions that I'm often asked in regards to intuitive eating, whether it's from clients, whether it's in this group, whether it's in messages that I've sent, or that people send me. And so today's topic is about how to notice our hunger and fullness cues. Because some people, when they first start intuitive eating, they're not aware of their hunger and fullness cues. They've been dieting for so long that their body has just stopped sending them cues, or they're so subtle that they don't notice them. And maybe they don't notice fullness until they're so full and uncomfortable. They don't notice it as it emerges as they're eating. And so there are ways that we can, kind of notice our more subtle cues and encourage our bodies to send us those cues if they're just not sending them to us. And so the first thing that we need to do is recognize the more faint signs of hunger and fullness. And so I'll list those, because you might not even be aware of what those are. But more subtle signs of hunger include feeling hangry or irritable, having a headache, feeling dizzy, feeling shaky, feeling sweaty, and just some people also feel nauseous, just feeling really tired, fatigued. So really like you just don't have much energy, and almost like if you're familiar with symptoms of low blood sugar, almost like that, because our blood sugar can be dropping when we're hungry. So those feelings can be associated. And on the flip side, hunger is more than just the feeling in our stomach that our stomach is full. If we're eating and we notice that the food just doesn't taste quite as good as it did when we first started eating, if we just, hello, I see someone just hopped on. Hi, Diana. So, if we notice that, we're just like slowing down as we're eating, the food isn't quite as interesting, isn't quite as exciting, those are all signs that we're getting full, and then we're just starting to lose some interest in the food, because, as we eat, as we fill up, our bodies aren't going to be wanting to eat as much as quickly, or the food just isn't as exciting as it was when we first started, when we probably were hungry. So not as many signs of fullness that are subtle, but paying attention to eating speed, paying attention to, the excitement and the taste of the food, can help us figure out if we're starting to get full. And, it can also help us pay attention if we slow down as we start to finish eating and just pay attention to, like, how is my stomach feeling? Am I noticing, any signs of fullness? If I, take 30 seconds between bites, just for a couple bites, to see if I notice anything. Because sometimes when we're also concentrating on eating, we don't notice the feelings in our stomach. And so just taking a few seconds between bites to see how you're feeling can also help bring awareness. And if you do not notice any hunger or fullness cues, like if you are aware of the more subtle cues and you're still not noticing them until they're very extreme, then it can help to eat in more of a pattern. So if we eat like every 3 to 5 hours, that's typically a really good pattern for our bodies to get into, because that means that, they'll get used to that pattern. That's a way for us to meet our nutrient needs throughout the day, ensure we're eating often enough to keep our energy levels up. And then when we are out of that pattern, or it does get to be that 3 to 5 hour mark, our bodies will start to get used to that, and they'll be like, hey, I'm hungry. Like, I'm out of this pattern. I'm used to this pattern. It's been 4 hours. I'm hungry. Like, it's time to eat. And our bodies start to send us those cues because we need to, follow that pattern. They're used to eating every so often, and so they're going to send us cues to encourage us to keep that pattern up. So that's another really helpful resource, really helpful trick to help with receiving hunger and fullness cues. Let's see, I'm just trying to look at my notes. Okay, yeah, so really the big trick to getting our hunger and fullness cues back is to establish that eating pattern, and then being aware of those more subtle cues and paying attention to see if you notice them at all, because hunger sometimes, can manifest differently. Fullness can manifest differently than our typical stomach growling or our typical, stomach being full. And so being aware of the other signs of hunger and fullness can help us realize, oh, I do feel those symptoms, and I didn't even realize that it was hunger or fullness. And so, sometimes awareness is key. And a lot of times with intuitive eating, being aware of things like that is key in helping us tune back into our bodies. And the more that we can honor our hunger and fullness cues, the more our trust is built with our bodies. So, when we start to really respond to those hunger cues, our bodies are like, hey, they're listening to me. I'm going to keep sending these cues. And it's just this cycle where the body, trusts us that we're going to respond to that hunger cue or that fullness cue, and they'll start sending us those cues because they trust that we'll respond and, give them what they need accordingly. So it's, kind of a beautiful relationship in a way that we can really get in touch with our bodies and really help them trust us. So I hope this was helpful. As always, if you have any questions about this, or if you have any other questions that you'd like me to address on a live, please let me know. You can either comment below the video, or you can just send me a DM, whatever, I don't mind. And then I would love everyone who watches this to comment down below what they're going to look for. If there's like a certain cue that they noticed that caught their attention, that I listed off, or if they're just curious if a recurring symptom could be hunger, possibly. If they're like, I never noticed that I get a headache because I'm hungry. I just always thought it was because I was tired or whatever, So if there's a recurring sign of hunger, fullness that you're wanting to look into, I'd love to hear that below. Comment below, and I will see you all next Monday. Have a great week.